4 rounds, center mass.
Ball.
I'll translate for Julian.
Tree.
3 rounds, center mass.
Oh, faulty towers.
Oh yeah, love faulty.
So I'm in the same area.
Really?
Yeah, my parents went to the school hotel.
I grew up watching faulty towers.
And
2 rounds, center mass. 2 rounds, center mass.
yeah, it was just funny. So Manuel died because
I read it. Last round, headshot. This time you need. All right, on safe for the hang. Time.
65.20.
What's going on, guys? I'm a regular guy with the Regular Guy Firearms channel. Thanks for watching. With me, I have my friend Aaron.
Hey guys, it's Aaron from TSI. How's it going?
So, I'm up in New Hampshire, where this guy lives, and we just got back from a course with the SIG Academy, and we went to go take cold weather carbine, and I understand that's your second run through it?
Yeah, it's my second run this year.
So, and obviously it's really self-explanatory. It's cold weather carbine. We had like 17 degrees to work with. No snow, but, you know.
It was still cold as fuck.
Yeah, it was cold. So, here's the thing, is that what this is, and you guys saw a bunch of shoot footage and whatnot beforehand. So, really this is like, as far as we can do it, a course review on the whole thing. Because you guys know that I've done a boatload of training, and Aaron definitely has. Especially if you watched him a little bit there on the TSI page and everything else. But with that being said, it's basically a course review and stuff. We thought of a few things, and you actually brought up a great point during the class, but we'll go ahead and cover that here in a minute. So, what'd you think?
It was a good course. Like I said, I've taken it twice. The first time I took it is the only time I ever thought about quitting a class. Like actually just getting up and walking away because I was hurting so bad. It was like 22 degrees outside, 23 degrees, but with like a 15, 20 mile an hour sustained wind the entire day.
Yeah.
And I had a old Buffalo pullover, we've all been issued, which is great for when there's no wind. And, I was properly layered, but not for wind.
Yep.
This time around, I learned my lesson. Had a windbreaker. Had just a basic fleece that I bought at Walmart. Long johns, some wool socks, and some boots and jeans, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is that this is my first time taking it.
And you being from South Florida and everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, coming from, like, the Tampa area and stuff like that, and I just now made the move over to Middle Tennessee. Oh, by the way, that happened. Yeah, I got wrecked. I haven't been that cold, honestly, since Texas or Afghanistan. So, and the biggest thing really there is, and the biggest learning point from that's kind of, like they say it, but you learn it, even if they didn't say it, is that, you figure out, A, whether or not you have to alter things, and in a lot of ways you kind of sort of do. Or B, you learn how to dress for cold weather, because if you're not prepared, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. Our instructor, Dan Hunt, good guy. If you're within 500 miles of Epping, New Hampshire, you should definitely check out the SIG Academy. I mean, even if you're farther than that, but still, good guy. Like what, 13, 15 years of special operations experience.
Yeah, he said he's still doing the thing.
Yeah, something like that. He's in the
In the
National Guard
Guard.
with the 20th Group and everything. He's set to deploy sometime next year, is what he said.
So
Good dude. So
I mean, and that's the thing is that he was there and he had a bunch of experience as far as doing cold weather stuff, and they do the introductions, and he asks what do you want out of this, and one of my things was, especially with cold weather stuff, is that especially like between the Army and I'm sure the Marines and stuff like that too, like there's a couple of guys that are into this sort of thing that it might be like, hey, here's some suggestions, but most of the time it's oh, well, I guess we're just going to make this work. We're going to throw all of our layers on, and we're not going to know how to layer properly or anything like that, and then just go.
exactly, or adjusting gear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing is you guys who are used to running classes in the spring through fall, who maybe throw a light jacket on more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to realize that you have to set your gear up. Like for me, if I run a chest rig, it's the HSD3.
Yeah.
But I gave myself an extra like 2 or 3 inches of slack. That way in the wintertime, when it comes around this and I decide to run it, I can just pull out the slack and...
Yeah, and having adjustable slings is a thing too. Like you've seen a
exactly.
couple of guys get caught up in their slings and stuff because they're used to running it in the summer, and then they're like, oh, this is just a little tight, but I can handle it. And then when it comes to like shoulder transitions or barricades or whatever, dudes start figuring out, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gear's a big thing. I realized with mine, actually twice when I drew my pistol, and this is in general for concealed carry, whatever, if you're strong side, my 320 actually got caught in my pocket.
Yeah.
I ended up having to zip up the pocket on my jacket because the barrel was actually getting caught in the jacket as I was transitioning while on a timer.
See, and that's the thing too, is that like for some reason we don't have the shoot footage of it, but I brought the only AK out to this class.
Yeah.
And
I apologize about, not to cut you off, Chris, but I apologize about not having the shoot footage, but it was really cold. So honestly, the last thing on our mind was getting shoot footage for you guys because it was just fucking cold.
Yeah, all of the shoot footage that we got was actually on his phone. Mine didn't even...
Yeah.
I left mine at the table. I was just like, nah, dude, it's cold.
Yeah, and after like the fifth or sixth video, I'm like, yeah, screw this. I'm not going to record anymore. It's just too cold.
And the big thing that I noticed too is that with like cold weather and just wearing like gloves and stuff, right? Like I just picked up like a set of mechanics yesterday because the Velcro and my older ones are done.
Yep.
I found out very, very quickly that with a specific set of mechanics that I got, entirely too tight. Like I have long digits and stuff, but skinny fingers, so glove sizes are weird. And I put those guys on, and the first time that we go to transition to pistol, I made my pistol stop.
Dude, a Glock malfunctioned. Hell froze over, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, spoiler alert, but the Glock did malfunction.
Yeah, and I caused it 100%. I caused a failure to feed because there was too much friction on there. That and just because of how gloves fit on your hands, sometimes you have issues getting into triggers. Jesus Christ, like it was like a 5-inch low right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For 2 rounds, like they were almost touching, but they were like way over here someplace.
I know, this guy actually missed.
I miss more than people think. Being real. But the thing is that, you figure out real fast, it's just kind of like, okay, these gloves aren't going to work, I'm just going to be cold, and then you just start working it from there. And then it's just getting into different positions and stuff. Something that we found out real fast, too, is that, like, going to prone in the snow means you're probably not sinking a magazine into the ground. We did a course of fire where, you started at, like, 100 yards and you were to go prone, and 75 seated, 50 yards kneeling, stay at 52 standing, right? And it was 5 rounds per position.
Yeah.
And the first thing that we figured out really fast, I actually watched what happened with you first because he went before me, and he goes to sink the magazine into the dirt, and he just, like I seen the rifle dip, and he's like, no, that's not going to work. So, I managed to learn from his mistake instead of making it myself. But
what's funny is the only guy running the AK over here, the 74, actually got the best score.
Second highest.
Second highest?
Yeah, our
I had the best.
Our USPSA guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, out of 10 dudes, second best with the AK. Everybody else was running all sorts of ARs, BCM, Dana Defense, Frank and AR, and MR.
There was an MR556.
Yeah, an MR556. Yeah. I apologize, guys. I'm fighting off the cold. Excuse me.
But, I mean, and it's crazy, too, just because, like, the one miss that I had was in the standing, because I'm running an AKT for the first time in a while, and, well, ever, actually. And, like, I was just getting too aggressive with it, and I dropped the shot, and he point laughs, because I wanted a perfect run, and I was pissed.
I kept getting 4 out of 5 the entire time. I was getting so pissed off.
Yeah, it was 4.
This guy's going 5 for 5 until the very last.
Yeah,
set of
in the standing, and I just started to roll it out. I was like, bang, 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 bang. Like, I was so pissed off after that, but it is what it is. But that's the thing, too, is that, like, you start doing all this stuff, and you start getting into rhythms like anyone else does when they start doing a bunch of shooting, but cold weather changes a lot of stuff. And, you know, I guess the general consensus here is that, you know, it was pretty good, but here's a problem that we had with it. And we brought this up and made like little suggestions because they have an AAR afterwards, or an after action review for guys that don't know military speak. I was like I'm still trying to get over the fact that there isn't class tomorrow. It's a 1 day 500 round class.
You're so used to going to 2-day classes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that there's enough that you can really use for cold weather stuff to where, you know, you can easily make it a 2-day class. And he actually made the suggestion first, is what I was talking about earlier, is, you know, why isn't this a 2-day? You know, and then I was like, yeah, caveat on that. You know, at the end of the first day, you can absolutely do some low light stuff if it's snowing that really F's with lights. Yep. And, you know, on the second day, you can start to back up because, you know, again, dude that's from South Florida, or like Middle Florida, basically, or in the Tampa area, you know, my stuff is generally zeroed for that area until I got up here, and then it got zeroed in Tennessee. And, you know, going from there to here and dealing with the cold weather fucks with bullets like a lot. You know, so there is a whole lot more potential in sinking another day into that.
Your point of impact is going to be different than in the summertime.
Yeah, and the elevation change and everything else, like just cold weather really screws with bullet trajectories and all that. And it's dependent on ammo too.
Yeah,
a lot of ammo types will suffer in the cold weather. So, I mean, that was the biggest thing that we had as far as a negative, really, on the class, is add stuff to it.
Yeah, it was kind of rushed. Not too bad, but it was just a simple fact of we were just taking so many breaks because it was so cold. You know, we were all gathered around the fire barrel and everything.
I mean, a big thing that I did like about the whole thing from the word go is that, you know, Dan, you know, went around the room and got the introductions and figure out past training experience from different guys, and he figured out right away, okay, this isn't like a 101 crowd or whatever. So, you know, he tailored the day to what it is that we were doing.
Yeah, that's the good thing about coming up here, guys. Is a lot of the classes, once you get out of the beginner series, is more on the lines of skill builder. As far as I mean, they have actual skill builder classes. Mm-hmm. But the cold weather carbine is more like a skill builder. He just basically went around and said, okay, cool, based on your experience, you guys get to develop the class within a certain, you know...
Restraint,
exactly.
Yeah, and he was asking us towards the end of the day, well, what do you guys want to do? Last drill, it was kind of funny because I was the only vote against. He asked us if we wanted to do a course of fire called the Jungle Run again, or the 4 different positions with 5 rounds apiece at different yard lines. Yeah. He was like, close your eyes. Who wants to do the Jungle Run again? I'm pretty sure I was the only one without a hand up because I wanted to make up that hit. So, I mean, but it's cool, though, because you as a student have an impact on how the class is going to go to a degree.
Yes.
You know, so, I mean, it's good stuff. And a big thing, too, is that, you know, their training team as a whole is constantly developing things. Like, they just revamped their advanced defensive rifle.
Oh yeah, I took advanced defensive rifle back in June or July. Yeah, and I mean it was good to go then. I mean it was a badass course.
Yeah, so
but apparently it got revamped by two of the instructors over there at SIG.
Yeah,
so I'm willing to take it again.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to go to that eventually here and make it a little more worth the 1,100 miles from Middle Tennessee to here that it took. But overall, I'm not pissed off that I'm here. You know what I mean? So if you're closer, because I understand that's not a drive that a lot of you guys are going to do, but if you're closer, I mean, consider it really.
I actually thought this guy was screwing with me when he was like, "Yeah, I registered for the class." I'm like, "You're really going to drive 1,100 miles to come for a 1-day class?" I mean, I wouldn't do that. That's it's not worth it to me.
Different things, man. Different things, and it's unique in its own right because I don't see any cold weather oriented stuff. So I mean,
yeah, this is
not?
true. I guarantee you, we're probably going to see cold weather. If not this winter, next winter be a 2-day or at least an optional 2-day.
Yeah.
Just because of the simple fact that Adam, who's the vice president of operations at SIG, he's also the head instructor over at the academy.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He sits in his office every Thursday and reads every after-action report that gets sent in by email. Every single one of them. And classes have changed because of those.
Yeah. And what's crazy, too, is, and what I didn't, shed light on, like, earlier in the video is that, you have all kinds of classes under your belt from them. They have, 100-plus classes that they teach there?
Yeah, it's 110, if I can remember right, and 90 of them are open to civilians.
Yeah. I mean, he was a direct influence as to whether or not I'd come out here in the first place. So, I mean, I would take, Aaron's word on what happens because he's told us before several times because we've kept in touch since that first Rifleman 1 class at Valor Ridge.
Yep.
He's come back to classes for a second or a third go, and they've been completely changed.
Yeah, because it's different instructors. I mean, they get probably about 10 to 15 full-time instructors, but total, including part-time, they got probably about 60 instructors. I mean, Kyle Lamb just signed on with SIG as a part-time instructor, with Viking he's with Viking Tactics, if you don't know who he is. So for somebody like him to put his name on the SIG brand, to me, shows that they're worth it. I mean, you got a lot of guys, special operations experience, a lot of law enforcement experience. You've got competition shooters, so they got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool about that as well is that, those of you that keep up with the channel and everything else, you guys know, my teaching style. And it's very, not doctrine-oriented, it's very purpose-built to you as the individual and what you individually have to deal with,
It's
right?
objective-based.
Exactly. And what's funny is that they have a term, objective-based, for that. That's their style of doing things. And they have so many different instructors, and they're not trying to make them adhere to one thing.
Yeah.
The same class taught by a different guy is a different class.
Yep.
And it's not like they're steering
which is why
anybody
it's
wrong.
great to go take the class more than once. Is even if you pick up one or two things, well, just like any class, if you just pick up one or two things, to me, it's well worth the money spent.
Yeah.
But they're not a school where it's one specific method. Not gonna name any schools, but where it's gun up only.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the only way. Gun up only.
Or it's gun up only, or
what if you're on the first floor of a building and you get 2 or 3 floors above you? Well, maybe you have to go gun down.
And that's the thing too, is that there's a lot of schools that preach that they're flexible with their curriculums, but they're really not. Because there are a lot of schools out there that are like, retain your magazines all the friggin' time, and there isn't 100% need for that all the time. And it's exactly what I've said before. Under a certain set of circumstances, all techniques are awesome. And under a different set, they all suck. And they really honestly do adhere to that very carefully because, generally speaking, if you do what they ask of you, they leave you alone because it ain't broke.
Exactly, because if the objective is get the gun up and running, you pull that magazine. They don't give a rat's ass if you hit that bolt release, if you do the charging handle, if you do some voodoo magic
to
get that bolt to go home. They don't care as long as you get that bolt home, you get the gun up.
Yeah, the only time that they start throwing input is if they see you trying to do something and they have a method or a thought process that could make that a little more efficient as far as just messing with things, which is great because they're willing to work within what it is that you do.
Yeah, they'll always give you at least 2 or 3 options to do something.
Yeah, so
pick one.
So I mean, with all that being said, really, I mean, there's not much that we can really add to it. Other than honestly, it was a pretty good place to go. People are asking me constantly about different places to go and everything else.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even 2 minutes. We walked into the pro shop. We arrived like 30 minutes early. We walked into the Academy Pro Shop just to take a look around before some dude walked up and said, "Hey, are you that guy on YouTube?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, are you running an AK?" Because they know my deal with me. Like, yeah, bring it into the shop. It's gonna be great.
I'm like, I got a YouTube page too. It's got like 1,200 subscribers.
But
you want to be 1,201?
With all that being said, I got like 20 seconds left. So, I mean, in all honesty, it has this course definitely has my recommendation on it. So, but with all that being said, guys, remember, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.
Thanks, guys. Take care.